Welcome to Porch Play Chats, sponsored by the American Association for Promoting the Child's Right to Play, or more affectionately named IPA-USA. IPA-USA is a USA affiliate of the International Play Association, and as part of our efforts to promote play, we are happy to introduce our Porch Play Chats. And these are just conversations with experts that focus on a wide range of topics. And these experts are just as passionate about play as we are. So I'm Deb Lawrence. I'm president of IPA USA. And joining me on the porch is Lisa Murphy, who's one of our board members. Hi,
Hello,
Lisa.
hello. You
And
can
Summer,
see the porch today, but it is pouring rain,
yes.
So I'm not out there.
Yeah, so she's already had to change her clothes once because it was pouring rain out there. So she's not building the ark yet, but it's close. And with us on the porch is also Summer Belloni, who is, did I do that right?
Belloni, close enough.
Belloni. See, I have no short-term memory.
That's okay.
It's like, oh my God. And so she's going to talk to us today about recess, why it's more important than ever. And so Summer, it's scaring me, in this whole thing. I keep hearing all this stuff that is happening and what principals are saying and what superintendents are saying and what parents are worried about. And so please help us kind of recenter ourselves and reground ourselves in why recess is so important, whether you're in COVID or post-COVID or before COVID, right?
Right. First, let me start by saying I actually am near my patio on this back door here. If I open it, that's my outdoor patio.
Lovely. So you're close to the porch.
My children may be playing out there, so I didn't want them running around, giving me bunny ears in the background.
Which we did promise. Yeah.
I made them promise to be quiet, but that didn't mean that they might not come up behind me here.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, thank you for having me, and thank you for the introduction. I think recess is always been important. That's why we're here, and that's why we've been advocating for recess for years at district and state level. But I think now it is getting a little scary because we are hearing that as schools reopen or not, recess may be sort of on the chopping block. And I don't want to move backwards. I feel like we've come so far, and some states have passed laws in the last couple of years that require schools to give recess. So now here we are with COVID, and we're sort of revisiting all these concerns of the past. And I think whether our kids are in distance learning, they need recess. So we need to talk to parents about what that could look like. And whether kids are in classrooms, whatever that might look like. I'm still waiting to hear from my district what that's going to look like for us. But we need to make sure that kids can still get outside, that they can move, and so importantly, that they can talk to their friends and have a break and have a social time. Because for so many reasons, that promotes all the good stuff that we want kids to learn academically, it helps with their behavior. And I think kids are going to need recess now more than ever. So the thought of regressing in recess and advocating for recess is scary. So hopefully we can come up with some ideas to help parents, because I know as a mom, I often benefit from brainstorming with other moms. And as a teacher, I have a lot of teacher friends, so I benefit from brainstorming when we put our teacher hat or our mom hat on.
Yeah. And I think that's what we need. I mean, parents need to know what they can say to the principal or the superintendent about, well, how are my kids going to get outside? And what do we need? How are you planning for outside recess? Not
will there be recess?
Right. Yeah. Don't go that.
Don't give them that option.
Yeah.
No.
What are you planning? Yeah.
Right. And I think part of that conversation too, and part of it that I'm still trying to understand is what are our administrators hearing from our county health departments and from our state in terms of, if you follow these protocols, then kids can come back to school. In some states, that's the conversation. In other states, it's kids will be back in school no matter what. And, good luck figure it out.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. There's no plan, right?
Yes.
I haven't
So
seen
I
a
actually proposed a plan to my school. We got a survey, like so many school districts are having right now, sending them out to parents and teachers, asking all sorts of questions, whether it's, do you feel comfortable sending your kids back to school?
Mhm.
Do you want a hybrid plan? If so, if your kids come back, do you want them wearing masks? Do you want them having recess was a question on my district survey. All
Good.
sorts of things. And then of course there was a comment box. And so I proposed a plan. I was a little nervous because I heard that in addition to all the restrictions that could possibly be put in place, that they were then saying that we would have no parent volunteers allowed on campus
Mhm.
because for health reasons,
Right.
keep everybody safe. And basically no adults other than the classroom teachers.
Mhm.
Well, on one hand, I completely get that. On the other hand, I think, how are we asking schools to do more work with less funding and now
Less
no
of them.
volunteers?
Mhm.
So could we, instead of viewing them as sort of just parent volunteers, could the district put together a health and safety committee or group of parents who were trained by the district, who follow all safety protocols and procedures to be on campus? They must wear a mask if that's what we're asking everybody else to do.
Mhm.
And they could be in touch with maybe with the district nurse or with the county health agency, and they would be approved to come on campus
Mhm.
in the safest way possible, whatever the protocols that are already in place. Trained by the district to come on and possibly to help with cleaning and to wipe down play equipment, to wipe down possibly even PE equipment with, that's a whole separate conversation, but just to promote activity and play. So I'm not sure if my idea will ever come to fruition, but the thought of, when I put my teacher hat on, the thought of not having parents at the door saying, we want to help, and the educators saying, stay back, you're not allowed, even though of course they want the help. So I thought, well, how can we bring these two ideas together to promote, let's clean for the kids, let's wipe down the equipment, let's wipe down whatever needed to be wiped down so that kids can still play.
Yeah.
Well, I have a very direct question. Are you going to ever find out if it was even kicked around?
Well, I don't know. Our principal, she's fantastic. I just love her. And she did email me and she said, thank you so much for all of your support and your feedback and ideas. She did ask if I would be interested in serving in one of their, I think she called it a reopening committee, but I later found out I think it's more of maybe like a school site council. So she said she would be in touch with me.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's, I know they have a lot going on, so it may be a longer term plan if it even comes.
Yeah. So
well, we heard it here first.
Yeah, we did. We heard it here first. It's a great idea.
Thank you.
And very easily replicatable. And I realize we're drifting a little from the topic, but I think this kind of advocacy is something that people who are involved in play can benefit from, even if it's not COVID reopening related. Just advocating for play, being willing to offer a solution. Instead of just saying, I don't like the plan, we're able to say, and here's an alternate plan, or here is a plan, or here is a suggestion. Regardless of the topic, I think the advocacy piece of what play people are about is still important to be talking
right
about.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think to add to that, to be willing to raise your hand first and say, I'll put my mask on, I'll put my gloves on, whatever you need me to do, I'll come and talk to the nurse, let's host a training. I think that's what I raised my hand to do. And, there's a bigger conversation there too about schools who have a lot of families that are involved and can give that type of volunteerism versus not. But I think in my previous, I've had a lot of nonprofit work as well. And I know that there are community groups out there and businesses, quite honestly, who are looking for opportunities for people to give back. So perhaps if we couldn't get enough parent volunteers at schools, we could reach into our communities or our employers looking for opportunities for their.
What is that? I mean, I can see it in my head of Summer, like a team of people who come in with their, and there's a part of me, and I'll own this, that like pre-COVID, if you told me that you needed to have somebody on the playground bleaching handles of jump ropes and ropes, I'd be like, get out of here. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But right now, if you tell me that there's people ready to get on board with that, for us to not accept that in order, right? So in order to make this happen, so for acknowledging that this kind of physical outdoor play is important regardless of what month it is and what time of history it is, and these people over here are willing to come help us make that happen, I would want to know why anybody said no to that.
Right, I agree. And I think that's what we need right now. We need everybody, I mean, all hands on deck, obviously, but here we are asking our teachers to do more with less help and, of course, less money, which don't even get me started on the less money piece. But I think that if I'm happy to go and serve as custodial staff, if it means that my child's teacher has the support that she needs. I mean, even just to get a break, we talk about recess and the importance of having breaks. Our teachers need breaks.
They do.
Our teachers need recess. So this would give them the opportunity, so they're not wiping down the desks in our classrooms. They're not having to be the teacher, the custodial staff, the lunchtime supervisor, everybody. So if we could just somehow figure out a way to say, let's put proper protocols in place, let's put some training in place, let's get people who are willing to commit to a schedule and move forward. I'm happy to be a custodian for as long as coronavirus is necessary, if it means that the 900 plus kids at my school can play.
So I'm going to think positive, and I'm going to say yes, absolutely. We're going to have recess. Absolutely. And what are some practical things that schools can do if they're saying they can't play on the playground equipment, which is a static piece of equipment anyway, right? So, okay, fine. Kids might play on it for 5 or 10 minutes and be bored with it. So what else can we do?
Right. Well, so I think it's hard to come up with a master plan for each school because, of course, every playground is so different, right? Some playgrounds have a lot of blacktop space with markings on them. Others have a field or just a play structure and no field. So I think it's important to bring together a team to evaluate what do we have, what's realistic. And I would advocate for bringing kids into the conversation. I often think that
we do things to them.
As leaders, we come up with these ideas and we say, here's your plan, kids. So trying to keep that idea in mind, I have 2 children, 2 elementary kids. One is going into 3rd grade, one's going into 6th. This will be his last year on an elementary campus. And of course, he still loves to play. And I asked them, I said, okay, help me out here. Picture yourself walking out of your classroom, going to your playground. But you see that your play structure is sort of cordoned off and there's teachers saying, sorry, you can't touch the play structure. What do you do? Well, one of the things we love about our school, we actually just came to this, my family moved, so we came to the school about a year ago. And my husband sort of laughs because I think he knows that we really bought this house so that my kids could go play on their playground at school because it's the most glorious, beautiful playground that I have ever seen. So they have fields and blacktops and play structures. And I said, what if the play structure is blocked off? What do you do? And my kids said that they sort of sometimes play on the play structure, but there's plenty else to do. So here's our list. Here's my sort of typed up and half written notes. One of my kids said, well, we can do races on our field. And I have boys and I don't know what it is. They love a good competition and they're just always racing each other. The kids in the neighborhood, it's all about races. So they said that they would just have races all recess. They could do running long jumps. So mark a line, even if it's just with a stick or a dirt. And so I'm picturing sort of track and field ideas. So they said, you can jump the farthest. They didn't say this, but I might even throw in there, you could do a standing long jump and a running long jump.
Right.
They came up with the idea of an obstacle course.
Mhm.
I didn't inquire, but perhaps they have some trees. It's pretty open field, but I'm sure that they could find some natural play elements,
Mhm.
and they could make a obstacle course. Or I also thought if the school would be willing to supply some equipment, cones, stuff like that, then if a teacher or a yard duty supervisor was supervising, they could just make sure that the kids don't touch the equipment.
Mhm.
But well, in the obstacle course, what you do at each station could change
Mhm.
every
Every
recess
day.
if the kids
Yeah.
wanted to make up their own games. Hopscotch, I
Of
think that
course.
it's already printed. They have a lot of things that are printed already. Red light, green light
Mhm.
is a fun group one. Marbles was an idea. The idea that kids would bring their own. I'm not sure if kids would actually really be allowed to bring their own equipment.
Mhm.
But I know when I was little, I used to just tuck them in my pocket and try to go beat the boys at marbles, and I thought that was pretty fun. And then the last one we came up with was Simon Says.
Yeah.
And none of those require play structures or equipment. And of course, if you have your health and safety crew that I talked about earlier, maybe there could be jump ropes and you wipe off the handles. Maybe there could be hula hoops.
Mhm.
I wouldn't be opposed to having kids involved even in helping clean the equipment.
Yeah,
Yes.
100%.
I know that there was some conversation when I was in the classroom that we weren't allowed to have our kids clean their desks with Lysol wipes because of the chemicals. So I'm not sure if that's still a concern or not, but depending on, how the school feels and what their rules are,
Mhm.
I think that it's reasonable to ask, especially upper elementary kids, to help wipe down some equipment. But
Or sure, and I realize this is not we're not brainstorming this, but I even just, as you said that, thought about, as a parent, I have to then provide my kid with the box of wipes or container. So then my kid is responsible for his or her own space. And
Mhm.
I've provided it, implying consent, right? That I don't mind that my kid is touching
Yeah.
this particular product.
Yeah, it could be
right,
on the school supply list, right?
right.
A
If we
package of
can we find Lysol wipes anywhere? I haven't been able to find them yet. I'm a little concerned about that.
So I will tell you that I have seen them now in the Philadelphia area, which is where I
Okay.
live. So now they have big end caps filled with them,
Oh, okay, great.
and also of gloves and masks, which I thought was awesome. So
Mhm.
they're not, of course, the medical masks, but
Right.
they're still they're
Something.
still available. So in some areas of the United States, it should be available.
Mhm.
I always go back to the games that we would play at field day,
Mhm.
right?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm wondering how germy burlap sacks would be for potato sack races. Remember those?
Oh, that would be a blast.
Wouldn't that be so much fun? And I don't know that burlap is, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm
Eh,
not sure. Maybe we'll have to
yeah, yeah,
research that, but that's a great idea.
yeah. I
Or
just
this
think there should be a way that, and I think all the ones that you've given us are awesome ideas. But I also think if we can think back to field day
right.
and bring all, I mean, that was like joyous days for all of us. We were
Yes.
outside
I
all
think
day
those were our
long.
favorite days in school.
They were.
One other idea that my younger son brought up, he said something that they play at school anyway is called shadow tag,
Oh yeah.
where
Oh,
you
yeah.
step on the kid's shadow. I'm not sure, of course, depending on how things go, and every school is going to be different, but I wouldn't want to necessarily propose that and then have a kid get in trouble for being too close. But that was something that my son said kids play anyway.
Yeah.
So they don't have to touch each other, but you step on their shadow, apparently.
Yeah,
Well,
but
and I
you're
think,
there for 2 seconds. So, if somebody's out there with a ruler, then I'm
come
not
on.
advocating putting anybody in harm's way, but I also
Right.
think at some point you have to draw that line
Yeah.
of just like, come on, let's
Yes.
relax a little bit here, guys.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. That's why I saved it till the end. I think that's sort of maybe when some people would feel comfortable with, others maybe not
You
so much.
you add that one in, maybe that's the one that you don't announce that they're allowed to do, but you don't announce that they're not allowed to do, right? If it's already in the culture of the school, it's
Right.
probably going to get played anyway.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So thank you, Summer. This has been wonderful. And I think that these are concrete ideas that schools can use. And, the other big thing is, yes, it's amazing what children can come up with when we don't provide anything, right? And so,
Absolutely. They're more creative, I think, than we are. At least I feel like that my children are.
and so if we can just, even if they said to the teacher, we want an obstacle course, and here we're going to put a rock where we want every one of the cones to go, then okay,
Perfect.
there's a
Yes.
way to be flexible and
Right.
give them this space and time that they need.
Right. And I think, well, I don't know, how much time are we here today?
So you've got like 3 minutes because Lisa's in the waiting room right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think an important thing that I would like to add to this, and maybe next time we can talk about ideas for if we're distance learning.
Yes.
Because I don't want parents to think that they have to provide all of the activities for their children. And I have some ideas I would love to share for families that are choosing to keep their kids home, or if their districts are not offering in-school opportunities in the classroom. I'd love to share that, but going back to the idea of school play and recess for now, assuming that for those kids who will be at school, I think it is so important to emphasize the idea of children having choice in their play, and to the extent possible and safe, unstructured. I know that may not be completely possible, but having children in groups at recess, which I know a lot of people are talking about and coming up with some fantastic game ideas. But what I'm worried about is that teachers are going to be required to take their kids out for recess. They're going to be required to stay with them full time, supervising just their small class group, and have a structured game provided, saying today recess is we're going to play this game. And the only option for a child would be to play the specific adult directed game or not.
That's not recess.
That's not recess.
That's not recess.
Well, so that's not recess. It's more, that to me sounds more like PE. It's a structured game. So I really think it's important to bring that up because I don't want the idea and the importance of recess to be lost. And I don't want structured adult driven play without choice and without opportunity for imagination and silliness to take over the definition of recess.
Right.
We had a conversation with our school board not too long ago, and one of our school board members, this was when I lived in Texas, said, well, maybe we need to come up with a basic understanding of what is recess. And on one hand, I thought, well, great idea, let's talk about it. And on the other hand, I thought, where are we in our education system that we know what recess is? So I don't want our definition of recess to be changed to be a structured, adult-driven, non-choice, outside opportunity,
Absolutely agree. I mean, my goodness, it sounds like they're going to have so much structure inside with and really parents need to step up and say, no.
Right.
I'm not going to have my child be miserable because they're not going to learn anything anyway if they're miserable. We need to find ways to be active in the classroom. We need to find ways to be outside. We need to have maybe mini group lessons and then a recess break and then another mini group lesson and then a recess break. I mean, they're going to need more recess.
Yes.
Not less.
And there are models kind of doing just what you're talking about. Of course, in Finland, which everybody likes to bring up, but there's a professor at TCU in Texas, Debbie Ray, who promotes this model. And she has a lot of pilot schools around the Dallas area where they're doing just the model that you mentioned, where they'll have class, I think, for an hour. They have recess 15 minutes every hour. And so I think something like that, to just send the kids outside to do their races, do their Simon Says, whatever they choose, even if it's just kind of walk around the field and process their thinking.
Yes.
I think that's important too.
Summer.
Well,
This has
thank you. I
been
could talk about recess all day.
wonderful. Well, we're going to have you back in August, so we'll send
Okay.
you those dates because I think we do need to talk about if they're virtually, if they're in virtual school.
Yes,
I think
absolutely. And
parents need ideas.
I have some
Look,
ideas.
she has a list.
I'm
And
ready.
yay! So we'll get you on the list for August.
Okay.
So thank you so much. This was fabulous.
Yeah, thank
So
you.
Nice
if
to
you,
meet you. Thank you.
yes, if you want to view more Porch Play Chess, make sure to visit IPAUSA.org. And thank you for listening today. And whatever you do, please just keep playing.
Bye-bye.
Bye.